Okay, today we're going to start our unit on the basics of trigonometry. So make sure your name is on the front of your booklet. And let's make sure that, let's see if I have it already opened here. Don't know where it went. I'll close that out. And we'll see if we can get this to open. Okay, there we go. And so the first page should look like this. And this is kind of an exciting time in geometry because we're going to be working on trigonometry. And trigonometry is used in right triangles when we're not looking at one of our special right triangles. For example, over here in this right triangle, I know I have two acute angles and a right angle, but I really don't know what the measurement of those angles are. So just to clarify the parts of the right triangle, we know that a right triangle has one right angle and two acute angles, two legs, and one hypotenuse that is across from the right angle. The opposite side of the triangle is across from an angle. So for example, this angle over here, this acute angle, has a side that is opposite it, a leg over here, and it has the hypotenuse, and it has an adjacent side, a side that touches it. The acute angle over on this side has an opposite side over here, across from it, that's its opposite, and it has an adjacent side that touches it right on the side, and of course the same hypotenuse. So now when we check this out, let's look at this triangle that we have right here. Let's see, I'll choose purple because it's not in the picture here. When we look just from angle T, okay, here's angle T, and I want to know what is the side that is opposite angle T. So opposite angle T could not be a side that's actually touching it. It would have to be over here, and that would be side VU. The adjacent side to angle T could not be the hypotenuse because that's always the hypotenuse, so it's the other side that actually touches angle T. That would be TU. And the hypotenuse, of course, is always the hypotenuse, so that's VT. Now when I look over here and I look from angle V, I get a different perspective. Now I pretend that I'm standing over here on angle V, and the opposite would be way across the triangle, and that would be side TU. The adjacent side to angle V would be the side that's touching it that is not the hypotenuse, so that would be VU. Remember, adjacent means right alongside, and the hypotenuse is always the hypotenuse, so that's VT, no matter where you're standing in the triangle. Okay, take a minute to look over this diagram and make sure you can identify the opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse from each of the acute angles. So, there's three different ratios we consider in trigonometry. One is called sine, and it's simplified or shortened to sin on your calculator. The second one is called the cosine, and it's shortened to cos on your calculator. And the third one is tangent, which is shortened to tan on your calculator. Take a minute and identify where these three buttons are on your calculator. And hopefully you're using the yellow calculator, and you'll see they go across the middle, and they're the dark gray buttons there. Sine, cosine, and tan. Now the sine button is used when we feed the calculator the opposite side over the hypotenuse. The cosine button is used when we are feeding it the adjacent over the hypotenuse. And the tangent is for the opposite side over the adjacent. Okay, now there's a very nice acronym we use to remember sine, cosine, and tangent. SO stands for sine, opposite, hypotenuse. Ca stands for cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. And TOA stands for tangent, which is opposite over adjacent. So make sure that you star this. This is something we're going to memorize. SOHCAHTOA. Everybody who's been in geometry is familiar with that acronym SOHCAHTOA. Okay, the leg that is opposite angle A. Now here's angle A, so which leg is opposite or across from? Okay, it's not touching angle A, and that would be over here, BC. So we'll put the number 5 here, because that says BC. The sine ratio of angle C. Okay, now the sine ratio again is opposite over hypotenuse. So let's see, from angle C, the opposite will be AB, and the hypotenuse is AC. AB over AC, and that looks like number 8 over here. The opposite angle to side AB. So what angle would be opposite AB? That's right, it would be the angle that doesn't touch it, angle C, which is number 3. The hypotenuse is always the hypotenuse, so that's AC, which is number 6. The adjacent leg to angle A. Okay, here's angle A. Which leg is adjacent? Remember, they said leg, not hypotenuse, so it can't be this one. It's got to be AB. So let's see, that looks like that's number 4. The tangent ratio of angle C. Okay, here's angle C. Tangent, look up here, is opposite over adjacent. So from C, AB is our opposite, BC is our adjacent. AB over BC looks like number 10. Now the reference angle, if BC over AC is the cosine ratio. So if BC over AC is the adjacent over the hypotenuse, BC over AC, well, that would have to be angle C. So we'll put a number 3 again. Okay, notice we never reference the right angle. The calculator needs to know one of the acute angles. The adjacent leg to angle C, okay, that's right here, adjacent leg, because it can't be the hypotenuse, so it's got to be BC. So that looks like number 5. Again, the cosine ratio of angle A. Here's A. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So from A, here's our adjacent, here's our hypotenuse. So we have AB over AC, and that looks like number 8. And the longest side. Okay, the longest side of a right triangle, hopefully you know it's got to be the hypotenuse, which is number 6, AC. And the reference angle, if BC over AC is the sine ratio, BC over AC is the sine. Remember, that's opposite over hypotenuse, so BC is opposite angle A. BC over hypotenuse, that would be angle A, so we'll put a number 1 here. Okay, see if you can go ahead and practice pages 9 and 10. And see me, raise your hand if you have some questions or you need some help. I think that'll be a good start for you. You might want to write at the top of the paper the meaning of sine, the meaning of cosine, and the meaning of tangent in your own handwriting. Just the more times you write it, the better off you're going to be remembering it. And don't forget SOHCAHTOA and what it stands for. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, tangent is opposite over adjacent.